Well, tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, boy, they still talking about the fallout from the election with Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, Vice President Kamala Harris, one of her main men, Quentin Fulks, he put out a statement, and I've said this, I think, on the African Diaspora News Channel, where they was going to put the blame on sisters for this election. And I love when I see it coming. Let's go on and play this clip first, and then we're going to get into some other stuff. But let's play this because I already knew this was coming, sisters.
We had 107 days, and I know people don't like that time frame, that number, but to open up a Democratic primary, you would have had black women, who were the strongest voting bloc for Kamala Harris, be highly upset if it was not Kamala Harris. You would have had someone starting with zero infrastructure. I hear your concern, and I'm not saying that primaries are not important and open primaries are important.
Right. So you saw that Quentin there was blaming black women. Say, oh, black women would have been pissed and all this. So when have y'all, as a billion-dollar Democrat party, you did everything because of black women? Stop blaming black women. It was not black women. It was y'all. Y'all picked a bad candidate. Y'all tried to do this in 107 days. Just admit y'all messed up when Biden got in the first time. Y'all could have had a primary and everything if y'all told Biden back then, nah, bruh, we don't want you. You need to finish your term. And then we have a primary, and then we have a candidate come up and all of that, and that'll be the end of it, right? Y'all need to accept what y'all done. It's not black women's fault. Now, if they had to pick somebody else outside that, maybe some black women have been upset. But look what you got in the result. A lot of black women didn't vote for her. A lot. So, no, it's not black women's fault. Now, let's get to something else that was going on that has nothing to do with black women also. If we look up here on the screen here, and it says black Harris staffers say they were mistreated on the campaign. And they blame leadership for taking the base for granted. Okay, so the allegations only came to light now because staffers were reportedly advised against speaking out. I believe that. So on top of blaming black women, look how black people is treated. So black Harris staffers are accusing the campaign leadership of mistreatment and outright racial discrimination. It's in a damning new article outlining numerous allegations against the now defunct campaign. Of course, New York Times published a story Sunday titled "How Alarmed Harris Staffers Went Rogue to Reach Black and Latino Voters." The story details a clandestine operation by some campaign staffers who ignored directives from the top and took matters into their own hands after feeling frustrated by the campaign's lack of sufficient effort to reach voters of color in Philadelphia. It said many staff members felt that Philadelphia's racially diverse neighborhoods were ignored. It said black campaign staff members and political operatives said campaign leadership dismissed concerns that Democrats were taking their base for granted, which is black people. It's as the election drew closer, the frustration with campaign leadership on the issue reached a boiling point, according to 30 staffers interviewed by the Times. It's after Ms. Harris lost. It said black campaign employees set up a call to talk about career opportunities with Angela Rye. Angela Rye, huh? All right. It said political strategists and podcast hosts discussion quickly shifted as they shared their anger at how the campaign had treated them and how underfunded and haphazard their field operations had been in several battleground states, according to a recording of the call obtained by the Times. It says some staffers also reportedly peeved that the campaign did not hire enough people of color or contract with consulting firms that had black or Latino owners. And say the Times cites staff members who alleged that many campaign offices in Philadelphia were filthy and lacked basic supplies like tables, chairs, cleaning products, and printers. Some campaign offices targeting predominantly black communities were moved to upscale areas far away from the areas they were assigned to serve. It said the Harris campaign reportedly commissioned an internal survey which concluded that black staff members were frustrated with campaign leaders and felt that their ideas were ignored at a rate far higher than their peers. Some complained of outright racial discrimination. The campaign's leadership was made aware of the survey's results. The staffers were reportedly afraid to leak these allegations to the press for fear of ruining future job prospects. They say the Times cited an all-staff call after the election hosted by Quentin Fulks, the principal deputy campaign manager who allegedly told staffers that talking to the media would hurt their careers. Oh, okay. All right. So Harris campaign spokeswoman Lauren Hitt reportedly denied that Fulks had used that language or tone on the call. Instead, he counseled staff members against saying something in a moment of anger that could hurt themselves or the vice president. And said the article features Quentin James and say founded a collective PAC, a group that focused on black elected officials and voters that worked with the Harris campaign, who revealed frantic staff members in Philadelphia, Detroit, and North Carolina calling him in the final weeks of the race to say they did not have enough money to provide food or water to the volunteers. Now, let's get into this a little bit, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get into this. Hold on. I think this kind of it there. It's not really too much more I need to get into, but I wanted to go through that to say this. Now, if Vice President Kamala Harris was a down black woman, just down for the cause black woman, do you think any of that would have happened to black people? That lets you further know that she was not a black woman. Because I don't see no black woman racially discriminating against black people. Just don't see that. They mentioned Latino. I don't really see too many black people discriminating against Latinos either. I'm just being honest with you. I just really don't. But this woman was not from our culture. Democrats, if you go run somebody else, for some reason they're supposed to be black looking, you're going to have to get you an FBA. And you're going to have to get you an FBA that's a moderate, that's an economic populist. You're going to have to get an FBA that knows the issues, respected in the black community, if you're going to do anything with a black person. Because if not, you're going to lose elections by people sitting it out. Because the majority of black people are not going to vote Republican. Some will, some more will vote Republican, but a lot will just sit it out. And sitting it out is not good for you. That is horrible, horrible, horrible on how those black people are treated. And that Quentin Fulks guy, he is the epitome of why people don't vote for Democrat. He is that elitist type. You know, oh, well, this and that, and all the black women. And like, what? That's why people don't fool with y'all. Black people don't want to see a bunch of pompous, elitist, I got this degree, I got that degree, I'm part of this organization, this fraternity, this for sorority, people talking. Because they don't really relate. And I'm not saying because you're in a fraternity or sorority. I'm not saying because you're in a group or organization that you can't relate to black people. That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, people, when they get to certain levels and they become very elite, and they in certain organizations or certain things, they let the organizations they're a part of or their fraternity, sorority get to their head, and they get the big head, and they're thinking they're better than the rest of us in black America. And when we see that, we got to say, hey, bro, hey, sis, you need to move around. Or if you running something, we definitely not supporting it. Because one thing I like real people, and I don't like fake people. And we got to get back to having real people in these positions. Real people that's budgeting their money like everybody else. Real people that's looking at those grocery store prices. Real people that believe in economic populism. That's what we got to have. We got to have real people. You know what I'm saying? And if we don't have these real people representing us, then you might well choose the couch at that point. But the Democrats going to have to get rid of all. Listen, Democrats, the elites got to go. The elitists, they got to go. It don't matter what culture they come from, what color, they got to go. You're not going to win elections with that. You have no pulse on the people. For these people say they didn't even have tables and chairs and food. How are people going to go out there and vote for you or work for your candidate and you don't have no food? You don't have no printer. You got to print supplies. You got to print flyers. Like what they had to go to Office Max or something and get it printed up themselves out their own pocket. All that money she's throwing around, you would think she'd get some tables and chairs, some food for the people. Man, did you give them some water? I mean, that's messed up. So now you see why she lost. She didn't even utilize, like I said, she neglected her base. She neglected black people. And it showed. But on top of that, even I think if she would have paid attention to black people, if she was smart, they would have gave black people an anti-black hate crime bill. And if they'd have gave black people an anti-black hate crime bill, then at that point, at that central point, the Democrats probably would have had a better chance of winning the election. But they chose not to do nothing for black people. And we know what the result was. But this has been like a pattern with Kamala Harris, because her last campaign that she had, we heard the same grumblings about she didn't treat people right, and it was dissension on the campaign. We heard with Simone Sanders that she wasn't being treated right when she was working with her, and she ended up quitting and leaving, right? So bad management is bad management. It's just that simple. And so that's a Kamala Harris problem, meaning she should not be a leader. Because a true leader understand you have to manage people. And you got to, listen, you can give me $1 billion and I don't make sure my people is taken care of. That if we're going to focus on the community, we're not going to prioritize them. We're not going to make sure our people are good. They should have, if they there all day, they need to have definitely lunch. They definitely need to have breakfast and anything else that we need them to have, right? And they need some snacks, whatever. Hey, it's cool. But didn't prioritize black people, and that's why you lost the election. Don't blame black women. Blame the so-called a woman y'all try to cosplay as black. Blame Vice President Kamala Harris for losing that election. It wasn't nobody else.